Good morning, everyone. My name is Allison DeGuy, and I'm with the Illinois Restaurant Association. I'd like to thank you for joining today's webinar on hiring international talent in the hospitality industry and navigating the visa landscape. Today's webinar is being recorded and is being broadcast in English, Spanish, and Mandarin Chinese. To listen in Spanish or Chinese, please use the interpretation button in your toolbar. This webinar is being presented by the Illinois Restaurant Association in partnership with the Cook County Small Business Source. Established to ensure businesses emerge from COVID-19 intact and positioned for growth, the Small Business Source connects small business owners with expert guidance and support. Services include no-cost business advising, resources, and events that connect small business owners with a community of advisors. For one-on-one business advising, sign up at cookcountysmallbiz.org. It's free and easy to sign up. Also, before we begin, I'd like everyone attending to know that the Illinois Restaurant Association remains a resource to you. We send regular email updates with what you need to know, and you can sign up for those on our website. For today's webinar, you can use the Q&A button to post your questions at any time during the presentation, and we'll do a Q&A session at the end. At this time, I'd like to introduce our panelists, Vanessa Noel, Executive Vice President of Strategic Development, and Sandra Height Warglow, Director of Strategic Development with Alliance Abroad. Vanessa and Sandra, you can take it away.
Thank you so much, Alison. Good morning, everybody. Like Alison mentioned, Sandra and I are with Alliance Abroad. We are J1 Visa sponsor, designated by the State Department, and we also are expert in the H-2B visa and TEN visa programs. We place 13,000 plus hospitality and culinary talent every year in the United States. And I'm going to start sharing my presentation now. And I want to make sure everybody sees it. Yes? Can you see my presentation? Okay, perfect. Well, like I said, we are going to talk about international talent today on 3 different visa programs. You're going to learn about the process for all of the visa programs, which program is best for your needs, and what are the best practices when you actually hire international talent. There will be a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. It's going to be a heavy content presentation today. If you have any question, please do not hesitate 1 second. There will be a lot of content also on the slides. Do not worry. Those are also for you to keep as an handout if in case you need them in the future. So we're going to start. The first slide is a comparison between seasonal staffing and skilled employees. I'm not going to go through that now because it is just at a glance some knowledge about each program. I'm going to go in detail about each program through this presentation today. But that slide, you can print it, you can put it next to you on your desk. It is a comparison between all programs. And I categorize all of the visa program according to the type of talents they bring. On the seasonal staffing side, we have the J1 Summer Work and Travel program and the H-2B Seasonal Worker program. And on the skilled employee side, we have the J1 Intern Trainee program and the TN Professional program. So again, that is just for you to have as a handout to see at a glance which program is best for your needs. We have many clients who use all programs. So, but that is just for you as a resource. So let's start with the skilled employees category. The first program that I want to describe to you is the J1 Intern and Trainee program. The J1 visa is a cultural exchange program. It is regulated by the State Department, and you have to use a sponsor that is designated by the State Department. The first purpose of the program is for the candidates to learn about American business practices and to learn about the American culture. Intern and trainees come for up to 18 months, and all of them have educations and professional experience in the hospitality and culinary field. There are 2 subcategories under the J1 visa intern and trainee, the intern and trainees. An intern is a candidate that is currently studying or has already graduated, and they need to start their internship program within a year of their graduation. Interns can come for up to 12 months. Trainees are candidates who have already graduated and have at least a year of experience in the field of the internship. If trainees have not studied the field of the internship, they need to have at least 5 years of experience. And in the hospitality industry, trainees can stay up to 12 months. In any field that is not hospitality based, such as finance, IT, anything that is not hospitality, they can stay in the United States for up to 18 months. So interns, I would say, are young graduates and young professional, and trainees are experienced candidates. So what we cannot do on this program? Well, first of all, the program is a career development program. So those intern and trainees cannot be placed in any unskilled or casual labor position. So for instance, busing, housekeeping, bartending for some reason is also prohibited in the program. Although when I spoke with the State Department a few weeks ago, they are open to have intern and trainees placed in the bartending positions as long as it's not throughout the year and it just makes sense. Basically, if the intern and trainees have had some education about bartending during their university courses. Sponsors cannot work with staffing agencies. They need to work directly with the employer. We cannot place any intern and trainees in any patient care or animal care position. Again, no more than 20% of clerical work. So if you have an intern or trainee in your restaurant, they cannot just be at the phone the whole day to, for instance, take reservations. Every hospitality placement needs to have at least 3 phases on the training plan. You will have a training plan written and built with the sponsor, that can be us, and the training plan is going to be your guide throughout the program. And throughout the training plan, 12-month training plan, the interns or trainees will have to rotate between different roles. And that could be, for instance, they start as a host or hostess, then they are servers for 3 months, and then they can be more in the management side of the business. So we'll work with you on the training plan, but they have to rotate of roles throughout the 12 months. Like I said, training plan is going to be built between the employer and the candidates. We need to make sure that on this training plan, we define what is the role of the candidates, what they are going to do during their 12-month program. We cannot duplicate too much what they've done in the past, but that is not really an issue because even with somebody who has 10 years of experience in restaurant management, for instance, they never truly train or work in the United States. So that's still something that would not be duplicated here because clearly working in different countries is different from working here in the United States. I'm French. I've learned a lot about this when I was an intern myself. So they need to be exposed to American techniques and technology, meaning that they have to learn about, again, American business practices. And they are here to learn, even though they may be already experienced. For them, it's a big deal to come to the United States for 12 months and work and train at a restaurant or hotel. It's great for their resumes. When they come back to their home country, they have great opportunities to be hired by, I would say, some international restaurant or hotel as well. And like I said before, any type of hospitality training plan will have to be a maximum 12 months. That is what is a training plan. This is just for you to see what it is. It's also called the DS7002, and that is going to be built with the sponsor, the employer, and the candidates. We have a lot of training plan templates that you can take as a base and just customize it according to your needs. We'll help you with that. It is a document that the candidates will take with them at the embassy as well. So very important documents, and that's your guide throughout the program. So J1 visa sponsors obligations are: 1, we are responsible for pre-screening the candidates. So if tomorrow you contact us and you said, oh my gosh, I would love to have F&B intern or trainees for my restaurant, then we'll pre-screen the candidates and we'll make sure that they actually meet the regulation of the program before we present them to you. We are also responsible for making sure that the internship placement is a good one, a compliant one. That means that they have the necessary equipment to perform their training the best way. We are responsible for issuing what we call the DS 2019 form, and that's a horrible word, but it's basically the visa documentation they will take with them at the embassy to apply for their J1 visa. We are also responsible for designing the DS 702 form, which is a training plan I presented before. Every intern and trainees on J1 visas already come with health insurance. That's a requirement from the State Department, and the sponsors, the J1 sponsors, are responsible for providing that to all J1 visa holders. We are responsible for making sure that every candidate, before they leave their home country, receive a pre-arrival orientation to make sure that they know what to expect, and are ready as well for their experience with you. I told you before, the J1 visa is a cultural exchange visa. So we need to make sure that all of the visa holders, we call them exchange visitors, have access to cultural activities during their 12-month program. And that can be organized by the employer. We also provide them with some recommendation. Every 3 months, they need to tell us, the sponsor, what they've done to make sure that they did every possible initiative to get immersed in the American culture. So cross-cultural activities could be having a pizza party with their, with their peers at the restaurant, or go see the 4th of July together. It could also be like going to volunteer in the community. We love those type of cultural activities. It's great opportunities to meet more American people and speak with them. So that's a big part of the program. Housing. You do not have to provide housing, but we as a sponsor are responsible for making sure that there is a safe and affordable housing close to the work site. So close to the work site will be within, I would say, 45 minutes by public transportation. So we will ask you to provide us with some housing leads, and we will vet those housing leads before the intern and trainees come to the United States. Excuse me. We are also responsible for being available 24/7 for any emergencies. So, or any issue you may have, you as an employer or the intern during the program. So it could be from, I lost my passport, or I need to go to the doctor, to anything that is a little bit more, problematic, such as, I got COVID, I don't know what to do. So the sponsors is really your friend in this program. Like, we are partners in this. We are responsible for making sure that you have a successful program, and same for the intern and trainees. We need to make sure that you and your team is educated on the Department of State's regulation for the J1 program. And again, we are responsible for the health and welfare of every J1 visa candidate coming on our sponsorship. So we have a big role in this program. And like I said, we are not just a visa documentation machine, but it's mostly a partner with you and the intern. Now, what are you obligated to as an employer? Well, number one, respect the start and end dates. So remember, I talked to you about the DS 2019 form, which is the visa documentation. On this documentation, there will be a start date of the program and the end dates. Every intern and trainees are able to come within 30 days before the start date, and they can stay in the United States within 30 days after the end dates. They cannot work during those 30 days. Those are called grace period. They are not allowed to work during those grace period. You need to provide with us, the sponsor, with a copy of your workers' compensation policy. If you have less than 25 employees and less than 3 million in revenue, we will come to you before the interns arrive, just to make sure that you have everything you need to make sure that the program will be successful. And we'll just complete a site visit, look at the restaurant, and also answer any question you may have or your employees have before hosting those interns and trainees. You have to provide at least 32 hours per week. So it is not an average. So sometimes we have a restaurant that, call us and said, we had a terrible storm this week. I cannot provide them with 32 hours. And that's okay. We'll work with you to make sure that they still receive the education they need to receive during those 32 hours. It could be through online webinars or education. So, but you have to provide at least minimum 32 hours a week. I have rarely see any employers who is not able to do that, especially in the restaurant industry. The intern and training program is not considered a staffing program. So that means if you can still hire Americans, please by all means do so. You would hire intern trainees because you embrace cultural diversity. You also want to have a big part in the mentoring new or young individuals. And so basically you can absolutely hire from 1 to as many interns you want. The only thing is for us, our policy is that there is no more than 20% of intern and trainees at the restaurant, compared to the total number of employees you have. So you can, for instance, if you have 10 people in the kitchen, you can hire two culinary interns. You need to provide on-site supervision. So that means that there should be a supervisor all the time. The intern trainees work at the restaurants or the hotel. You need to help us with cultural activities. Again, you don't have to pay for it, but you need to, make sure that we have identified one cultural activities every 3 months for them to be able to do as part of the J1 visa program. There will be an evaluation between the employer and the interns during like at the mid part of the program and before they leave. And that evaluation is just to say, are we on track? Are you happy, you employers, you the interns? What can we do to help if you're not? It's mostly not about like what is not working, it's about like maybe the interns would like to go even beyond their training plan, or just it's an evaluation. It's a very basic evaluation, and also it's good for the supervisor to know where we are at, and provide any type of mentorship initiative in addition to the training plan. So if you have any issues, again, involve the sponsor. We are here to help. And again, we are partnering in this, and we are responsible for making sure the employer and the interns are happy with the program. The no change of visa status is very important because you are going to love working with your intern and trainees because they are fully committed, they are hardworking, they really they want to make you proud, basically, and they want to learn before they return home. So yes, you would want to keep them, but the thing is, remember, it's a cultural exchange program, so they have to return home. They have to return home within 30 days at the end of their DS 2019. If they return home, you can absolutely rehire them on another visa if you would like to. But again, let's make sure that the regulations are being met. Their responsibility as the candidates when they return home is to share with their friends and family how was their experience. It's a public diplomacy program. And for us, they can return on some other programs we offer, like TN and H2B, as long as they have stayed at least 6 months in their home country, just to meet the J1 visa regulations. But again, do not change their visa status while they are on a J1 visa program in the United States. It's legal, but it's not a good practice, and you don't want to show that you're using the program for immigration purposes. It's a non-immigrant program. And please, by all means, assist us with identifying housing leads. You know your community better than we do. We just need a list of apartment complexes, for instance, that are available around, so we can look at them and make sure that the intern and trainees are going to have good housing. All right, so I'm done with the intern and trainee program, J1 visa program, again, career development program, hospitality/culinary experience candidates up to 12 months. Let's talk about the TN program now. The TN program is also a non-immigrant visa, and it's actually a trade agreement. It's not even like a work visa. It's a trade agreement visa between the United States, Mexico, and Canada. So on this program, you would hire candidates from either Canada and or Mexico. The program is up to 4 years. And the good thing with that program is there is no annual cap on the visa that candidates can apply for. You don't have to involve, the Department of Labor is not involved. When I speak about the H2B program later on, you will see that we need to involve the Department of Labor and USCIS. But on this program, because it's a trade agreement program, there is no involvement of the Department of Labor. You don't have to show that you have done everything you could to find an American worker first. There is no requirement either on the fees that you should pay. The only time you would involve USCIS will be when you want to extend the visa of your candidates, or if you want to transfer a TN candidate to another restaurant or employer. So it's a very, very easy program. And the good thing of that is not only they can apply for up to 4 years, but they can renew it in an unlimited way. So when you have a good TN candidates, sometimes you think like, oh, maybe I would like to keep them and maybe I'm going to sponsor them on a green card. You don't want to do that again because it's a non-immigrant visa, but you can extend their visa as many times as you want. And also the good thing is because it's a long-term program, they can bring their dependent with them. If they want to bring the dependent with them, we always advise you to wait for at least, and them, to wait at least for 6 months / a year, because what we prefer is that they get settled with their employment, with their community, with their housing. They are, living expenses to pay also for their dependents. So we want to make sure that there will not be any financial struggle while they are also, making sure they start their position in the best way. But like I said, it's a great program up to 4 years. They can extend it as many times as they want. And you are the sponsor. So remember on the J1 visa program, it's a cultural exchange program. You have to go through a visa sponsor designated by the State Department. TN program is a trade agreement. You are the sponsor. So basically, they only can work for you. So a TN professional is somebody who would be placed at a profession that qualified under the regulations. So under the TN program, there are probably, I would say, 50 positions, 50 placements and professions that are eligible. Not every job is eligible on the TN program. The candidates must have identified and secured a job with a US employer, rather it's a full-time or part-time. All the time for us is always full-time. Every profession has a different requirement for their visa. I'm going to cover that in the next slides. And there is no intent to immigrate in the United States. So again, non-immigrant visa, if they apply for their TN visa at the embassy and they say, well, you know what? I would love to work forever in the United States, they will be denied their visa because, again, non-immigrant visa, and they have to prove that they have a home country bond. So they can extend their visa as many times as they want, as long as the embassy approve it, and USCIS as well. Mexican candidates will have to apply for TN visa at the US Embassy in Mexico. Canadian citizens just can go to the port of entries and have their visa stamped as they enter the United States. They don't need to go to the US Embassy. So I told you there is a whole list of professions on the TN program. I just put some of here. Those are the ones that we mostly do. We also do teachers. We also do engineers. But one of those category is why we are talking today. It's called the hotel manager position. So all of the candidates applying for hotel manager positions will have a degree in hotel and restaurant management. And for some of them, will have at least 3 years of experience in the field. Hotel managers could be F&B manager, front desk manager, kitchen manager, it's a managerial position, housekeeping manager, restaurant manager. So you could hire only TN candidates if your restaurant would be part of a hotel. If you're an independent restaurant and you're not part of a hotel, then you will not be eligible for that program. And don't ask me why. I don't understand it myself. But if you are part of a hotel, then you will be eligible to hire TN candidates. The TN professionals will work with us to, provide us with all of the documentation that is needed for the visa, for their visa appointment schedule. There is no surprise here. They need to provide us with past employers letter, transcript of their education, proof of citizenship, of course, with a passport. And one of the documents that is critical for their visa appointment is, of course, the offer letter, but also what we call the support letter. And a support letter is, I would say, a 4 or 5 pages document. And on that letter, you're going to make the case about why you want to hire that person on a TN visa. So what you're going to write, and we have template as well for that, so don't worry about it. You just need to, take the template as a base and add as many things you want on it to customize it. But the document, the support letter, should include everything they're going to do on the program, what they're going to be responsible for. It's basically the job description and a little bit more detailed. How long do you want them to stay on site? Up to 4 years, up to 2 years, 3 years, it's up to you. You're going to also mention on that document, we help you, of course, why this candidate is eligible for the positions you are offering them and how much they will be paid during the program. And that's it for the TN professional program. On the skilled employee category, remember, you have the J1 intern and trainees up to 12 months, and you have the TN professional up to 4 years, and you can renew it as many times you want. We are now going to talk about the seasonal staffing program, and the first program that is available to you is called the J1 Summer Work Travel Program. And J1, again, J1 equal cultural exchange, and don't be confused with the word summer. We call it Summer Work and Travel Program, or the State Department does, because all of the candidates coming on that program are international students, and they come to the United States to work at seasonal jobs during their university break. So in the summertime, if you have a summer season, your candidates will mostly come from Europe and Asia, Turkey as well. In the winter time, if you have a winter season, they will come from South America, because in South America, there will be their summer. And during your spring season, if you have a busy season in the spring, they mostly come from Ecuador and Asia as well. Again, number one purpose on this program, they come to learn about American business practices, and the American culture. Please, if you have any needs for your busy season, always apply, if you can, at least a year in advance, because the number of visas is not really equal to the employer demand. So make sure that you apply much earlier in the process. I have employers calling me today and still asking for international students in June, when most of them already have gone to the embassy. So there is a process that we need to always look at, and so make sure to anticipate your needs. So on this program, they are international students. They cannot be placed at jobs that may displace domestic US workers. So basically, if you already have enough candidates in your community to work at your seasonal jobs, you don't need really to hire J1 visa students. It's very rare. We work with many employers. I told you we place 13,000 people every year. The demand is, tremendous. There are some positions that are excluded on this program, and there is no surprise here. Any jobs in the sex industry, any jobs that involve door-to-door sales. Again, like it's a cultural exchange program, we need to make sure they are, they learned, and any positions, really any job that would put a threat to the cultural exchange program. You shouldn't have any layoff in the past 20 days, 120 days before hosting those students. On your side, you need to prove that you have a busy season, or even two. So we look at your monthly revenue, how many staff you had every month through the last 12 months, so we can identify when is your busy season. We have employers who have 2 seasons, like summer and winter, for instance, or summer and spring. So be able to prove that you have a seasonal staffing need. Your role will be also to provide at least 1 cultural activity a month. Remember, cultural exchange program. So again, once a month, you can have a pizza party, or you can tell them, like, go to volunteer for any charity organization in your community, anything that would really make them be immersed in the American culture. You need to pay them at least the minimum wage, and any positions, you need to provide them jobs that allow a regular communication and interaction with American citizens. I am done with the J1 Summer Work and Travel Program. Again, you can hire those students in the summer, winter, or spring, depending on when is your busy season. They will come to the United States up to 4 months. Usually they work for you 3 months and 3.5 months. All right, I'm moving toward the H-2B seasonal worker program. So this one is a big beast, and I'm going to spend more time on this one than the others because there is a lot of things to learn about this program. Again, if you have any question after this presentation, do not hesitate 1 second to send me your questions. I'm always happy to provide more education on this. H-2B seasonal worker program is not a cultural exchange program. It's basically when is your busiest season in the year, and you will get seasonal workers throughout this season. So they are not international students. Those workers are mostly, I would say, 28 through 45 years old. They have experience in the hospitality industry and culinary industry. Some of them have worked in the cruise industry, and some of them are past J1 visa holders. And the past J1 visa holders cannot come back because they're not eligible anymore on the J1 visa. Then we can absolutely consider them on the H-2B program, again, as long as they have stayed at least 6 months in their home country after their J1 program. The good thing with rehiring J1 past J1 visa holders is they already have social security, you already know they speak a good English and have already experience in the United States. So to be eligible on that program, there are 4 criterias, and I put here the two most famous one in the hospitality industry. One is a seasonal need. You have to prove that you have a seasonal need. And a seasonal need will be whether you're open during a certain time in the year. So if you're a ski resort, you're not. But if you're a ski resort and you're only open in the winter from November through the end of April, that will be a seasonal need. But most of the time, the category is peak load need. And that means we are going to look at which month in the year your revenue, expenses, and number of employees are increased. And the program is up to 10 months. So if your season is of 6 months or 9 months, then you have the workers throughout the whole 9 months. But we have to prove that with data that refer to the revenue, expenses, and staffing. I hope I'm not speaking too fast. Am I all good, Alison? Because there is some, okay, good. I'm continuing then. All right, so what are the benefits of hiring seasonal workers? As you can see, I changed my vocabulary here. On the J1 program, I talked about exchange visitors, and then on this H-2B program, H visa is purely work. So benefits is up to 10 months. And the program is split between 2 seasons. A summer season, you would be a summer employer if your jobs would start between April 1 and September 30th. And you would be a winter employer if your jobs would start between October 1 and March 31st. Remember, up to 10 months. So we have many employers, their season start April 1 and they have the workers through the end of October for the summer employers. In the winter season, we have an employer right now. They have workers that start in beginning of November, and they are there through the end of July. So that's, yes, Mary Kay, if you don't mind, I will make sure that I respond to your question after the presentation, promise. So the good thing is up to 10 months, they can work for the entire season. So remember on the summer work and travel program, I told you the international students can work up to 4 months. It's usually 3 months and a half. Well, on this program, it's throughout the whole season. They can only work for you. You are the sponsor on that program. Remember the J1 Summer Work and Travel program? You have to go through a J1 visa sponsor like us. And on J1 Summer Work and Travel, they can work for second job or third job. On the H-2B program, they can only work for you. So they cannot come to you and say, oh my gosh, I found a great job at the McDonald's in Los Angeles. I prefer to go there. But you can't because you are sponsored by the employer and the location you have applied for. The workers can come back season after season. I'm going to cover that in the next slides. And the good thing on that program, they can fill any unskilled positions. So remember on the J1 program, we want to make sure that those international students are placed at jobs where they can interact with Americans. So as a J1 visa sponsor, we would never, ever sponsor international students to be laundry attendants, for instance, or groundskeepers. But we could do it on the H-2B program. So we have a lot of clients who do both because they cannot hire some international student at some jobs, but they can do it on the H-2B program. How does it work? Again, don't be scared about this whole content on the slide. This is just for you as an handout if you want to go back to it. Step one, you are going to obtain the prevailing wage determination for the positions you will be sponsoring H-2B workers for. For example, you are a restaurant and you need 10, I would say 5 servers and 2 cooks, okay? So you or your attorney will ask the Department of Labor, what is the average wage of cooks and servers in my area? Okay, so when you receive that prevailing wage determination from the Department of Labor, you will know at that time how much the minimum salary should be. So if you currently pay your cooks $12 an hour, and the prevailing wage came at $12.50, then you have to upgrade to $12.50 if you want to continue the program. I've rarely, I mean, like actually, I've never seen any employers paying less than the prevailing wage. Step 2, once you have obtained this prevailing wage determination, you are going to file a job order with the state workforce agency, and you're going to submit your H-2B application to the Department of Labor, you or your attorneys. Mostly it's your attorney doing this. So basically here, you're going to make your case. You're going to tell the Department of Labor, guys, I really need 5 servers and 2 cooks because I cannot find those staff here in my neighborhood or ever. And I need to hire H-2B visa workers. Otherwise, my operations will be extremely impacted. And so you make your case here. You provide every possible data on when is your peak season. You know, remember, like they're going to look at your expenses, your revenue and number of employees every month to see when is your peak season, up to 10 months, and why you need those workers. In step 3, the Department of Labor is going to tell you, yeah, great, you know, your application looks good, thank you so much, or they're going to issue a notice of deficiency. So you don't want to receive a notice of deficiency. It's not a big deal if you receive it. It's basically the Department of Labor telling you, like, I need a little bit more information to really justify that you need 2 cooks and 5 servers between April 1 and October 31st. Okay, so not a big deal. It just delay a little bit the process, but you still can continue the process with providing that much more information. But you shouldn't have to. Ideally, you want to have everything done in the step 2, so you're done with it, and your application is accepted by the Department of Labor, and it's called a notice of acceptance. Few things to consider. Because there are so many employers hoping to get seasonal workers on the H-2B program, there may be a lottery organized by the Department of Labor. So if there is a lottery, it's basically the Department of Labor putting all of the applications they have received, putting them in a bowl and just picking them up one by one and say, cook, they need 2 cooks, they will be in category D. They need 5 servers, it will be in category A. Okay, so they will be categorized according to, by chance, what they pick. So the Department of Labor category A to, I think is G, F, will actually design what is your hiring strategy later on. And I'll talk about that later on. Once you receive the notice of acceptance, you will have to show every initiative that you've done to find American workers for the positions you're hiring right now. So again, you need 2 cooks and 5 servers. You're going to advertise this position on the Department of Labor Public Job Registry. Okay, so at that time, everybody sees that you need 5 servers and 2 cooks. It's online, it's public. At any point of this timeline, if any American worker apply for the positions until 21 days prior to your start date, then you must consider them, whether they are in your community or if you are in Florida, if they are in Colorado. You know, you may have American workers that says, oh, great, I would like to work for you in Florida between April 1 and October 31st as a cook. So if you do that and you have eligible American worker for the job, then by all means, hire them. And let's say you find one cook that meet the regulation, meet the requirement of the positions, then that means you would hire that cook. And guess what? You just need one H2B worker for the cook positions. Okay. In the end of the story, you just want to make sure you have 2 cooks and 5 servers. So you will do those initiatives until 21 days of the start date. Once you've done that, the Department of Labor will send you what they call a labor certification. At that time, you are fully approved. You can continue your process. That means that, you know, if you never receive any request from American workers, then you're okay to hire 2 cooks and 5 servers on an H-2B visa. Once you receive the Department of Labor certification, we go through the step 6, which is filing with USCIS and basically telling them, hey guys, the DOL approved me to hire 5 servers and 2 cooks on the H-2B visa. By all means, please now approve me to send my workers to the embassies so they can apply for their visa. Okay, so that step is nearly the last step, because once you file with USCIS, you will file with premium processing, which I will cover in the next slides. But 15 days, calendar days afterward, you're going to receive what we call a notice of action. And the notice of action is the document we need to start scheduling the visa appointments. So remember, on the J1 visa, it was a DS 2019 form. On the H-2B visa, it's called the I-797 form, which is the USCIS notice of action. Once you have that, your workers can apply to the embassy for their H-2B visa. This is just a slide to show you the whole timeline. So this is just also for you, for your resources. As a resource, just show you at a glance how the process that I just described works on the timeline. Now, what you need to consider on the if you apply for H-2B visa, for the H-2B seasonal worker program, it is an investment. So most of the time, all the time, the J1 visa program do not require employers to pay for anything. You could, as a best practice, you could always say, oh, I'm going to, you know, pay for your airfare and payroll deducted later on. It's really up to you, but there is no requirement for that. On the H-2B visa, though, you are the sponsor. You are the one sponsoring those candidates for your company. So there is an investment. I don't like talking about cost, because again, you have to really look at, if I don't have staff during my busy season, is it going to impact my sales and my operations? You know, you have to look at the whole picture. I have a lot of companies that could not function without H-2B workers. I have like water parks. They don't have enough lifeguards during the spring season, because on the J1 program, you only get people from Ecuador and Asia. It's Ecuador, we can find lifeguards, but not too much in Asia. So they cannot function without having lifeguards on the H-2B program. Or I have like luxury hotel, Ritz-Carltons, that cannot function without laundry attendants. They would either, you know, if they have 400 rooms, they would just sell 300 rooms rather than 400, because they don't have enough staff to satisfy the demand of the customers. So that's really a strategy we need to look at, and it's a budgeting exercise as well. Sometimes it's better to invest in this program rather than also paying staffing agencies. It may be more expensive to go through staffing agencies. So it's a whole pictures we can look at together. The reason why it's a cost and investment is because you will work with an attorney most of the time. If you don't have to, but if you don't, it's a lot of work, and I'm sure you don't have time for that. So you will work with an attorney, and every of them is different. They can charge you, from what I have seen in the industry, some attorneys charge $7,500 to $10,000 per petition, and a petition is a job. So again, going back to my scenario, if you need 2 cooks and 5 servers, that would be 2 petitions. Always work with attorneys, please, that have experience on the H-2B program, because I've seen many scenarios where some attorneys, you know, it's a business for them. Whether or not you're approved, it's a business for them. They still get their money. So you work with people who have experience with that, because it's a complicated program. You will have to pay USCIS. Remember, USCIS is the last step of the process. They charge a fee per petition, again, so per job. And I mentioned here premium processing. So premium processing is charged by the USCIS if you want to pay for it. You're not required, but if you don't pay for it, you will never see your workers, basically. It's telling them, please put my application on top of the pile of all of the applications you have. If you don't pay that fee, your workers can come. If your start date is April 1, they probably will show up in end of August, if they show up. So not a big, you have to pay for premium processing, basically. It's not required, but somehow you have to because otherwise you won't have your workers. There may be some recruitment fees if you use a recruiter. We are a recruiter. We do charge a fee per worker to identify the workers, to make sure they go to, we manage the recruitment, we manage the visa processing, and we also manage the arrival process with making sure they have a transportation booked from where they are at to your destination. You're responsible for the travel cost. I'm going to cover that in the next slides. And you're responsible for the visa fees if you hire out-of-country workers. So there is a cost, and we usually work on a whole financial picture for you to make sure that it is worth hiring H-2B workers. All right, so again, very boring slide. Don't get me wrong. You don't have to read everything. But basically, another consideration also when you hire H-2B workers. There are only 66,000 visas, H-2B visas, every fiscal year. So that means 33,000 in the winter season and 33,000 in the summer season. Now, imagine that after COVID, business increased tremendously, and it was really, really hard, and it's still hard today to find American seasonal staff that are willing to work as bursars or cooks or, whichever positions, lifeguards, for instance. So the good thing is, because we as a recruiter and other companies are really lobbying the government to tell them, like, those businesses are going to die if they don't have staff. So the good thing is the government they nearly doubled the number of visas the last 2 years, and it's not going to stop there because the demand is tremendous for seasonal staffing. So without those additional visas, we probably would not have been able to serve at least 2/3 of our clients. So thanks to the additional visas, we could staff our summer employers and winter employers thanks to those visas. And that's a great thing because, again, I don't think it's going to stop there. When they add additional visas, those visas has been historically for specific countries. So Ecuador, Colombia, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Haiti, Venezuela. And they're also for what we call returning workers. And returning workers are people who have been on the H-2B visa the last 3 years, and they already have returned home, whichever countries they are from. So, which is great because those additional visas allow us to recruit people who already have experience in the program. So thanks to those additional visas, I don't think it's going to stop there. Believe me, everybody needs seasonal staffing. On this H-2B program, you can hire in-country workers and or out-of-country workers. So remember, I told you about the Department of Labor lottery, whether they give you a category A or category F for each of your job, well, that will design your recruitment strategy. If you are in group A, by all means, we are going to hire out-of-country workers because we know they are not going to be caught in the cap. Remember the cap? 33,000, that's the cap. Plus, we have additional visas. So out-of-country workers are people that are in their home country and they just want to come to the United States to work. The great thing is there is an endless recruitment pool. The good thing also is if anybody is denied for their visa, you can replace them. So remember, you're petitioning for 5 servers and 2 cooks. If one of them is denied, fine. You know what? We have interviewed 20% more workers. I have backup. If one is denied, you know you have a backup workers that can replace them. So in the end of the story, you still have 5 servers and 2 cooks. Extremely motivated type of workers. They also want to make you proud. So great workers. You would hire in-country workers if you were in group F or G, for instance, because even with additional visas, you are at risk to not have enough visas to hire out-of-country workers. I have employers who do both, in-country and out-of-country, just to cover all of their bases. In-country workers, great, they are exempt from the cap. They don't have to apply for a visa. So who cares how many visas are available every year, right? So there is no embassy process. And those in-country workers can work in the United States up to 3 years as long as they have continuous employment. So for instance, we work with a corporate account, a hotel corporate account, a huge one. What we do is we hire out-of-country workers in the winter, and we transfer those workers to a summer property by extending their visa. And we can do that up to 3 years, as long as the dates are matching. So let's say the winter job is ending March 31st. Well, my summer job started April 4, right? They have to act no more than 10 days. It depends. I mean, ideally, you want them to start right away in the summer. But that's a great thing because they can, exchange their workers season after season for up to 3 years. Now, I want to be honest with you. This audience is very, very, very not committed. So basically, what they're going to do is they're going to apply for a visa extension with as many employers that they can find. And you don't know that because you think that they want to work for you. And then they can cancel on you a week before the start dates. They can say, oh my gosh, you know what? No, thank you. Love your company, but the other restaurant already got my extension file, and I'm going to go with the first restaurant who had received the approval from USCIS. So not ideal, but sometimes you don't have a choice. All right, so on the program, I'm going to try to speed up a little bit. Oh my gosh, it's going fast. On this program, you don't have to provide insurance to your seasonal workers. It is recommended, of course, but if you don't, they can enroll for health insurance under the Affordable Care Act, and they have to do that until they have 60 days basically to enroll in this insurance from the day they arrive in the United States. We always encourage them, please, please, please enroll in the insurance. Sometimes they just want to save money because they think they save money, but they don't. If they, we explain to them why, if they have an issue during their program, that it can actually cost much more than not having insurance. On the housing situation, if you provide housing, it's highly recommended as well. If you provide housing and you want to charge a deposit, I recommend that you charge this deposit within the first 3 paychecks because many of those workers don't really have the advance fund for that. They don't always have advance cash. So by all means, best is for you to do that. Remember, if you provide housing, you have to show that on the job order. Remember, at the beginning of the process, you have to file a job order with the Department of Labor. The housing information must be on the job order. How much it costs, what style of, what type of housing is it, every possible details. And remember, you have to make efforts to hire American workers up to 21 days before the start date. If you provide housing to H-2B workers, then any American worker applying for the job should be provided with the same benefits. That doesn't mean they're going to take it, but they should be provided with the same benefits that are on the job order. All right, quickly, this is the poster you will have to post in your employee room is the poster on the employee right on the H-2B program. You can click on it and you can print it as a PDF. On the right side, I gave you a link to the Department of Labor website. It gives you access to more detailed content on what are your responsibility on the H-2B program. But I'm going to cover that right now. What are your obligations? Number one, you must hire any qualified US applicants if you find any of them. Again, I've seen one employer for the past 10 years, actually, no, sorry, even 15 years that we've done the program, one employer who could hire one server. But most of the time, you will never find any American workers wanted to work during the time that you have on the job order. But again, if you have, by chance, a miracle, you have one applying and they are qualified, then hire them. You cannot refuse them. Number two, you should treat your H-2B workers the same way you treat your American workers and vice versa. Okay? You should offer at least the prevailing wage as a minimum salary. Again, difference between prevailing wage and the minimum wage. Prevailing wage is what you have obtained from the Department of Labor. That is the average salary that workers are paid on that particular position in your area. You will have to, of course, make deduction on the paycheck, the normal deduction, federal deduction, state deduction as well, Medicare, Social Security as well, because they are on H visa, they have to pay for those taxes. Any additional taxes that you can deduct and only would be housing and transportation. Okay, if you provide housing, you can deduct the rent. If you provide transportation, you can deduct the cost of the transportation. That would be the only deduction you can deduct in addition to all of the deduction required by law, because you have to provide those workers with all tools and supplies for free. Okay, so if you work in a restaurant and you have a specific uniform, they cannot pay for it. You have to provide that to them for free. The job order that I talked to you about, this job order has to be accessible to all of the workers before they apply for their visa. For us, of course, we would provide them during the recruitment process so they know what they are interviewing for. Going back, transportation, very important. On this program, you are the sponsor. So any transportation from where the workers are, whether they are in-country workers in the United States or out-of-country workers in their home country, you're responsible for the transportation cost. So if you have a worker in Colorado and they want to work for you in Florida, then you will pay them the bus ticket or the airfare from Colorado to your Florida. Same if you have workers from Mexico, then you will have to pay for the transportation from Mexico to your work site. They can pay for it, and if they pay for it, you will have to refund them within the first part of the program. So if your season is of 6 months, they have to receive a refund of the travel expenses within that first half of the program. It is the way we work. We just book the ticket on your behalf because we want to control the cost and we want to also control the arrival process. So we usually pay on your behalf the transportation once we have identified what are the best tickets according to when you want them to arrive. But again, if you don't want to do that, you will have to refund them at least within the first part of the program. If a worker ends their program before the end of the season, if they are terminated, you have to pay for the airfare between, from where they are at with you to their home country. If they resign, it's not your problem. Now remember, your worker may want to extend their visa with another employer that have an opposite season. If they find another job, and if they want to extend their visa, then that second company who is hiring them is responsible for the cost of the travel. Okay, so any worker that you terminate before the end of the program, you have to pay for their transportation back home to their home country. If they resign, they are responsible for the cost. And at the end of the program, if they want to extend their visa with another employer, that other employer is responsible for the travel cost. But if they want to return home after their program, you're responsible for making sure you have covered the cost for them to go back home. You're responsible for the visa fee. Again, usually we upfront that cost or we pay it on your behalf, or the workers pay for it. If they pay for it, they need to be able to be refunded within the first week of working with you. All right.
Sorry, Vanessa, I wanted to jump
Yes.
in just because we're going to share the slides after. I was wondering, can we answer a couple of questions maybe and then?
You know what? I'm going to finish. I have 2 slides and then I'm done.
Perfect.
Is that okay? Okay,
Yep.
very quick. If you sponsor cooks and servers for your company, they cannot work for any other jobs for any company or location. So do not put your workers as servers when you need them. They only can work, only can be cooks, and the servers can only be servers at your location and restaurants. Finally, you have to provide at least 35 hours a week. And please keep the documentation for at least 3 years in case you have a Department of Labor audit one day and they want to show that you have those documentation in file. And if you have any termination or worker resign before the end of the season, you have to notify USCIS and the Department of Labor within 2 days. Your attorney will help you with that. I'm going to pass this. Those are best practices that you can look at later on. Those are 2 articles. One is an article about TN, H-2B, and J-1 visa. You can click on it and you have all of the specification on all program. This is a video on the international recruitment program if you want to hire your workers on the recruitment fair. I'm done.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Lots of
You're
information. That's
welcome.
great. I think so. We'll try to get to a couple of questions. And then I think if anyone else has questions that we can't get to, they can email you with your information on the slide. So one question was, do the sponsors give the J1s any grant, or is all of the travel money coming from their own pockets?
On the J1 program, we have some grants. We actually sponsor some women chefs right now. We are not charging any program fee, but we are not responsible for the cost of the travel. So it's really, we have employers who really pay for that cost, and just because they want to invest in their J1 exchange visitor program, or they payroll deducted during the program. So we on the J1 program, we are not involved with travel.
Okay. And then sticking to the J1 visa, how long is a typical onboarding process to hire a J1 visa?
So J1 summer work and travel for seasonal staff, I would say apply, please try to apply at least 12 months in advance. For the summer season, we start the interview process with the students in October. And for the winter season, we already have started. So try to really apply for your needs, at least if you could 8 months in advance. Intern and trainee, I would say 4 months. To be conservative, I would say 4 months in advance.
Okay. And then another question is, how popular is the H visa in Chicago / what type of visa is the most popular?
The most popular is the J1 program. And again, remember on the H program, they have to show that they have a seasonal need. I'm happy to provide you with a list of employers, type of employers that use the H2B program in Chicago. I can have access to that information for you if you want. I have not looked at that before the presentation, but I can absolutely provide that to Alison if she wants. Again, it doesn't really matter what is your location, is can you prove that you have a seasonal need?
That makes sense. And then another question was, as an employer, do I have to apply to take on international workers, or is it something I can just notify you that I'm interested in? I think you being Alliance Abroad.
Oh, yeah, we do. I mean, basically the way we do it is you tell us what you really need. Do you need seasonal workers or do you need skilled employees? And then we work through your needs with you to tell you which program is best to use. So you just need to tell us what you need, and we'll come back to you with telling you maybe the J1 intern training program is better for this, or the TN, or all of them. So you just need to tell us what you need, and we go from there.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yes.
Okay, so then I think we're close to the end of our time, a little bit over. So thank you everyone for your patience. That was such great information. Really appreciate it. I would like to thank you all for attending and thank Vanessa and Sandra with Alliance Abroad. I'd also like to thank the Cook County Small Business Support Source for their continued support. And then someone asked about this, but after the conclusion of this webinar, you will receive an email with links to the webinar recording and the presentation. So thank you all for attending and have a great day. And thank you again.
Have a good day, everyone. Bye.